Trial Lawyers University, where the Titans come to train. Produced and powered by LawPods.
Well, we got Joe Freed with us today here. It's our first podcast post TLU Beach, which I personally had the best time of my life. I hope everybody else did too, but I felt it was my best effort at this thing we call event planning for trial lawyers education. What do you think? We got
Well,
Joe. Joe, where are you at first of all today?
Dan, today I'm in Port Aransas, Texas. I'm in a beach house that belongs to a friend of mine, doing a little work here, and also visiting with him and his wife. And so it's a beautiful part of the country to be in. And I see you have the Pasea thing up in the background with my,
Your big
my
face. And
big face on the side of it. That was a big surprise to me. But going to your comment though, Dan, starting out, I think universally, this isn't just me saying it, but I know from speaking to other people who were speakers there, who were attendees there, even who were vendors there, who universally said this is the best program that they recall ever being to. And I know because I'm involved in a lot of programming. I know that doesn't just happen. I know that this was a passion project for you. On top of you always put a lot into these whatever you're doing, but this one I'm not sure exactly why, but you're just committed to making this the best program from the beginning. I mean, I remember us talking about it way back, and you did it. I mean, there was the right amount of teaching that was going on, but there was also it was balanced with the right amount of fun and the right amount of fellowship among attendees. All of the presenters I saw interacting, taking time to interact with their students, not only in the classes, but afterwards around a coffee or a drink or whatever, depending on what time of day it was. There was energy that lasted into the evening. The parties that you threw were fun. And then even after the parties, for people who were so inclined to hang around afterwards, there were different options for people. Like you didn't have to be some hard charging partier if you didn't want to be. You could be if you wanted to be, but there was also places for, lower key, just place to hang out with a couple of people and get to know them better. Some talk about law, but some talk about life and whatever else. So it was a fun time all the way around. And it starts with, like I said before, it doesn't just happen. I know you worked really hard on it, and you should be proud of it.
I was real happy with the event. I stayed at the Paseo for about 4 days afterwards to think about it all and start planning 2026. So 2026, June 10th through 13th. And every time I do it, Joe, it's just a game I'm playing with myself. That I gotta beat myself. I gotta outdo whatever we did before. Because like the thing I always put on my mind is like the pressure to impress my guests who were there last year. So they're like, wow, I didn't think it could get better than 2025, but this is actually better. So we got some new stuff planned for 2026. But let me talk about 2025 a little bit more though, because you did some things. Well, you did on Saturday afternoon, you did a 3-hour little master class, whatever we want to call it, workshop for about 15 people just on trucking. Because you called me up and told me you had a bunch more information you needed to share. I didn't have the space to do it, except in a small space. So what was that experience about?
First of all, thank you for accommodating me in that, because I was the one who kind of asked you for that time because I was feeling just a desire to share with a smaller, more intimate group sort of some of the best stuff that I know and focused on trucking. There was a mixture of people there in terms of their experience levels, but I have gotten some of the most beautiful emails from people afterwards because we talked about there was a lot of content that was thrown around, but there was also time because we were a small group. It was time to talk about some individual cases, and there was time to talk about individual problems that people were universally facing, and really in an interactive way, kind of work on solutions. So it was great. It was 3 hours, I guess, is what it was. And I'll tell you, I mean, the time flew by, and afterwards, I ended up hanging around. The same group took it right from there outside, and more than half my group hung around and continued to talk about stuff afterwards. So I feel like I made some friends during that.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Then you and Sat started the program off with your perfect combination. on Thursday for 3 hours between speed trial and, depositions or trial.
Yeah, the first of all, Satch is become one of my closest friends. I mean, he's a dear person in my life. He's also, I believe, one of the very, very top trial lawyers in the country. He's creative in his approach. He's unique in his approach, and it has been one of my recent joys as a lawyer to have opportunities to work with him more. And part of that is combining these different things that we both come to. They have a name, speed trial and depositioner trial, but really there's kind of our kind of most modern thinking about what do we do? Well, I mean, what do we do in our own offices to prepare for and then execute? And the execution, anybody who's a trial lawyer these days knows that trial has become something that so much is already canned on video. I mean, it's not entirely, but a lot of us, especially in the civil side, these cases, a lot of the stuff is already canned. So working with Satch on pushing the envelope on sort of combining our thought process, that's what we've been presenting, and we did it. I think this is sort of the second year that we've done it this way, and now we've already committed to plans to spend a few different days over this next year to evolve it further, push it into other areas that we haven't historically talked about. Because there was a lot of interest this year where people were saying, well, let's talk about these concepts applied beyond taking a corporate representative deposition or a truck driver's deposition. Let's apply this outside of that. Let's apply this in the jury selection context. Let's apply this in non-canned directs at trial. Let's talk about or crosses. Let's talk about some of the additional strategy things that we really haven't discussed. And that's what the goal is going to be for next year, frankly, is see what we come up with. And it'll be the first time it's ever been presented. It'll be unique, and I'm excited to see what evolves from it. I don't know exactly what it looks like yet, but I know that it's born from comments and questions that came up during this year's presentation. Very long-winded answer, but that I'm kind of excited about that, Dan.
Yeah, and next year, we already got the Pasea booked out from June 10th through 13th, 4-day period, and we'll be doing a boot camp ahead of that time for the 5 days before it, and that's what we did this year. It really worked out great. But speaking of boot camps at the Pasea, Joe, we're going there with the trucking. Joe Freed's trucking is called Secrets Mastery Boot Camp on August 12th through 16th back at the Pasea. And so that's why I spent a little time talking about this because we've been working on this thing and thinking about this. And I've been working on, coaching my performance and presentation skills. And, I'm really excited too because we got this new trucking case, which is your trucking case. And we have a video of it and we have actual photos from the scene. It's a motorcycle versus truck wrongful death case. And to make that three illusion come to life in front of a jury is quite the challenge because but having the video so people can actually see it so that it's so much easier to imagine the story when you're actually witnessed it than retelling it, right? Because I think that's a great job of a great trial lawyer is to transport the jury into the story so almost they're on the side of the road watching this happen.
Yeah,
Like, "Oh my God, stop, stop, stop," right?
they're creating their own video in their head, right? Through the work that we do. So I'm excited about the program. I mean, I think in the highest level, this is a program that divides itself content wise. It divides itself for people who what I'm going to be doing at the program is spending time in small groups with people. I think we've decided that there will be about 5 people in each group. And I'm going to be teaching kind of based on what the experience level is in these groups and just taking them to the next couple of levels in in their knowledge and application, their knowledge and skill sets in trucking. And so it's going to be geared to, we'll probably have 3 groups. We talked about this, and it'll probably be sort of the beginner group, the intermediate group, and a more advanced group. And I'm going to have content for each one of them. It's not going to be the same content because it shouldn't be. It can't be. We're going to do some work in advance. We're going to actually have a couple of Zoom discussions and presentations in advance of even getting out there. So we get some baseline things established. And then I'm going to work with these groups on things that how to take a case and develop it out and execute it in the most effective way that I know how. And I mean, this has been my life for now over 20 years working specifically on trucking. There'll be some speed trial things that get worked into it because I can't help myself. So that's kind of one part of it. But then another part of this for people who are interested, and I think everybody should be, is to work on the presentation skills themselves, which is something that you've spent a lot of time on, and you're going to take the lead on that side. And you and your people, you have a couple other folks who you've worked, I know, real closely with too. And we are about several months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, we picked an active case. We based on some criteria that we wanted. We wanted good action. We wanted a couple of other things. We wanted good visuals. And I said, well, I'm thinking about this one new one that just came in, and we started talking about it. Turns out that, it's got just about the right amount of complexity, to for I'm going to use some of that in my teaching, and you're going to be using that, and you already have been developing out your how to teach people. And people need to understand this is not going to be a sit on your ass, you know, time for a few days. This is going to be intense mornings, afternoons. It may run into the evenings. If you come, you be prepared to not only soak up a lot of information, but be on your feet, actually doing things yourself. You will not. This is not a place you're going to be able to hide. Every single person will be on their feet every single day, doing things for real. And for some folks, when they hear that, they go, "Oh, yeah, it's scary." You may want to sit there and say, "Well, I don't feel comfortable doing that." You're the person who this is made for. You're the person who needs to step into that fear. I mean, if you're going to go to the next level, then find relatively safe places to do that. I mean, if you're not going to do it here, are you going to go into a courtroom? I mean, how are you going to deal with the fear of that? And don't you want to go into the courtroom better prepared in terms of if you've got to screw something up, don't you want to screw it up in a relatively safe place first? Learn how to address it, and then move forward from there. You're going to be 1,000 times more prepared. So anyway, I know I'm rambling, but I'm excited to see we're presenting this kind of at the same time. People will be alternating back and forth from getting content from me, application from me, and then working with you and your hand-picked team of folks on actual on their feet presentation skills.
No, it's gonna be great because like the schedule, we have 6 Zoom meetups ahead of time. So you're gonna work with people on their understanding of the trucking world and what the foundational knowledge that they need to possess to help when you get in person. I believe the more work we do ahead of time, that sets the stage for getting a lot more done in person when everybody shows up and they're prepared and they're ready to go. And so that's why, we work really focus on the cross examination skills and the performance skills. So we
I
use
agree.
this. No, we just use a set piece of cross of the defense medical expert. But once you master that cross, which teaches all the fundamental skills, which I believe, I mean, it's a good structure to use, I think, on any expert. But I think it really teaches the fundamental skills of cross, which I mean, the obvious ones are leading questions only, one new fact per question, looping. Those are all pretty basic, but looping, most people don't loop unless you intentionally loop, establish a fact and repeat that fact the next statement. People don't do that unconsciously, although they should. But cross-examining the present tense, forcing the questioner to visualize the story, causes the witness to visualize it. More importantly, allows the jury to actually picture the story. Effective dropping all the taglines like right, correct, isn't it true, true. And if you have to use them, I think it works a lot better if there's a pause between the statement and the tagline. For example, you're a truck driver, true? As opposed to you're a truck driver, true? And having that time and space to allow the mind to process the information is very important. Dropping all the filler words like and, so, okay, etc. People do that, but until they discipline themselves not to, they'll start every sentence with and. Effectively using a flip chart. That means writing legibly. That means putting one topic per page. That means you're learning to use it as a teaching tool. Being intentional with our emotional state, right? Because we talked about this before. There's really two emotional states that dominate cross, and they're not frustration and anger. Because if it's like you give the witness a little remote control, right, Joe? They're pushing little buttons. I think it's curiosity when you're laying foundations, and disappointment when you impeach or you show the dishonesty. Oh, pacing. to intentionally slow down. Because most people, you can watch CVN from the direct to the cross speeds up so much because people's heart rate goes up. And in that slowing down, training ourselves to breathe because people stop breathing in cross too, and the pressure's on them, and when they don't breathe properly, their voices trail off. They speed up trying to get everything out in one breath, trying to get a 30-second statement out in one breath. So those are the core skills of cross examination. We do that in the context of the defense medical expert cross, training that. And then, the key concept of performance skills, which is, eye contact, and training ourselves to make eye contact with the person before we start talking to them.
Yep.
Um, speaking more slowly, controlling our facial expressions, our emotional states. You do a lot of that state control stuff. So important, you know, like so critical to utilize every chance we have. We start to feel anger or frustration, like, whoa, I can control that, and really state control. So, glance control, creating space, creating illusions, because the idea in the performance skills is, everybody trains with watching the video, but can you make that video actually come to life so everybody witnesses that same crash? So that when you show them the video, that's like, oh, that's just how I pictured it. So that's some of the stuff we're going to touch on as far as the performance and training skills. But
Well, it's, I mean, and you've heard me say this many times. I mean, it's about, I mean, we don't see ourselves unless somebody takes a video of you and shows it to you. We don't really see ourselves, and we don't see how much better we can be. And so this environment is one where even just examining and making choices for yourself on how you want to present something as opposed to it just being what you happen to do naturally, which may or may not be the most effective you. So why not take an opportunity in a controlled setting to practice other things, try them on, see what they're like, even staying in people's eyes for a lot of people, including me. I mean, historically, before I trained myself out of it, I mean, it was really hard for me to stay in somebody's eyes. So these are teachable skills that you get an opportunity to work on, and not only a little. I mean, you'll be on your feet working. I've talked to lots of people who have been through this type of training with you, Dan, and I mean, some people may not agree with exactly everything. That's okay. I mean, I mean, and some people will agree with absolutely everything. But regardless, getting on your feet and doing the work is going to make you a better trial lawyer all the way through. It's going to, because it's going to even make you, even beyond the presentation, the more work you do on presentation actually makes you a better strategist also, in terms of, because now you've got a bigger tool chest of tools that are available to you to make choices in how you want to present, how you want to think about setting up the space that you're going to do your work in. What do you want that to look like? What do you want your visuals to look like? How are you the kind of person who likes to work with an easel pad and a pencil? I mean, or pen or Sharpie. I mean, how are you going to do that? How are you going to plan it? The more you do it, the better planner you're going to be, so that you're at the end of the day more effective. Period. That's what it's about. Content and presentation.
that's a great point because if you don't have the tools of performance, when you think about your stories, all you think about is the narrative. And the narrative, puts people to sleep and uses up a lot of bandwidth when people are trying to visualize the story you're telling them, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to picture it because the story you're telling them is in one dimension. They're trying to put it in three dimensions so they can actually understand what you're talking about.
It's also just
Yeah.
not, it's boring to them. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, part of, I think one of the most underappreciated skills of being a trial lawyer is you've got to be part entertainer. You've got to capture the attention and then keep the attention. If you don't, if you've got the best content in the world, but people aren't listening, I mean, it's not going to work out very well. I mean, that's why, frankly, some people, it's almost more important than the content, because you see people win things based on their storytelling and their presentation skills. If the person's got great content and they suck, I mean, I don't know how to say that any better than that. But
There's a lot of it, but the thing that's really great here is that they won't be on their feet every day. They'll be on their feet every hour. And because we break the time up into 10-minute slots. So you have 1 hour, everybody's up for 10 minutes. And as far as the much practice you get in 10 minutes, and since we're all oftentimes, when we're doing the performance skills, people are performing the same chunk as the person before them. So they're paying close attention, and they're paying close attention to the one after them because they're still learning, right? If everybody's doing something different, then exactly how the person is performing it before and after you isn't quite as important.
Well, you're certainly interested. If you're 2 on deck,
Right. This is
behind, so you're watching and you can't help but compare yourself, which is not what it's about. It's not about comparing yourself to others. It's about comparing where you walk out of this at the end of a few days of doing it versus where you started, and how is it for you? And I can tell you this, for most people who come to something like this, they will get more on their feet experience in a few days of doing this than they've ever gotten in decades long career of being a lawyer. So for a lot of people, for the very first time ever, they're bringing intentionality into their presentation side of things. And so it's a unique experience. This is not an easy one to get in, and that's why it's most effectively taught in small group settings. You need enough people to be your support team, in the room with you. You need people because you're presenting to people. But then, getting those reps. I mean, Dan and I always talk about, you've got a gazillion reps. If you're 50 years old, you got 50 years of reps doing whatever the hell you've been doing, right? So you got to get enough reps on your feet over, in order to start changing that, because we're all just creatures of patterns that we've lived in. So we're creating a program where you can get enough reps in over a relatively short period of time to where you can leave with meaningful change. That you never go back to the old way because you got enough reps in this way.
and people are gonna be bringing their own cases too. So it's not like you're just working on this theoretical or this case of Joe's. That's the training model. That's where you learn the skills. But the idea is to learn the skills to apply to your own case. So that the second half of the program is not just working on the whole time. They'll be working on the strategies of their case, putting their evidence together. It's like Joe Fried is their co-counsel. But in the second half of the program, that's when people start to work on their own opening statements or own chunks of cross. But first, they have to learn the skills. And so, in the program, just it's a series because we start every morning at 7 o'clock. That's what time breakfast is at the hotel. So it starts at 7. When people get there, 7:15, 7:30. But class starts at 8. We go from 8 to 12:30. Take a couple breaks, real short breaks to obviously gotta have a break every hour or so. And the first part, on the 12th, we're going to work on the skills of cross examination in the morning, performance skills in the afternoon. Then on the 13th, that's when you get there, and then again continue to work on the performance skills, and then people working on their cases with you, and that just continues as we learn the foundational skills, and then start working. By the third and fourth and fifth days, people working on their own materials, their own crosses besides the strategy. So and that makes it great because their cases get so many times. Not just that case that gets so many times better, every case they work in the future, right? Because they're not just learning how to frame that one case or work in that one case. They're still learning a ton from those other 4 cases, of the people in their group and from their peers around them, right? Because at lunch, at dinner, what are they going to be, because then we have lunch at 12:30, from
Yeah.
12:30 to 2, and then we have a dinner every night. If people want to, most people come to dinner because we're at the Pasea Hotel, right? We were going to do it in Vegas.
I'm glad in August we're gonna be at the Paseo Hotel
Like,
instead
you're
of
the one that moved it to Vegas. I'm like, dude, it's 115 degrees. You're like, we're inside. I'm like, that's true, but it's still 115 degrees.
it's gonna be much better at the Paseo.
Oh, so much better. Like,
Yep.
it's crazy how much better it's gonna be. Plus, it's like almost it's like my home away from home. So that's the thing I like about it. It's like
I think
coming
Dan, I
home.
think I think Dan owns the Paseo Hotel, by the way. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
And so you have to practice in the deposition. You practice in motion hearings. You practice at the grocery store. That's why you have a family. You practice on them. You have to keep the skill up or it erodes. It's simple as that.
Somebody give us an overview of this case.
Or I call wowing it. And what I mean by wisdom of the wise is, why are we still right in spite of this fact?
These are just some of the clips when I was cross-examining 10 years ago, remember that.
About 11 o'clock at night, and he leaves this message. I got a brilliant idea. Every conversation he starts, I have a brilliant idea.
Well, welcome everybody. We've got a good crowd here today.
Hey, Dan, let's change subjects here because we've beat up this. It's going to be
All
fun.
right.
Come to the program. There's only actually a
Okay,
few.
there's still
Actually
six
only a
spots.
few seats.
As of this recording, there's still 6 spots left. So, because the program's limited to 15 students. But if you do want to come as a juror, you can do that too. Because some people just want to come and they don't have a case they're working on, but they want to learn and they want to be around. And I think that's fantastic. So, anyways, and at the end of the Freed Trucking Performance Bootcamp conversation.
Yes. Thanks, Dan. So I want to change gears, and I want to change gears before I let these people go. Since I feel like I've got a captive few minutes with Dan Ambrose to just kind of talk to you a little bit about TLU. Is that okay?
Sure, sure. TLU's coming along. Great. Thank you.
Well, I've got a few more questions than that. I didn't want just the great, thing. I mean, it feels like things are evolving. So share it with me if you don't mind, and the rest of us. What's your thinking moving forward from here? I think you've done a lot of great things and really upping the game on the experience of for people who come to this. But I also know that you spend a lot of time thinking about what's the future look like. So, I mean, both kind of near future for TLU and then vision for down the road. Would you share a little bit what's on your
Yeah.
mind?
So obviously, I want to build the best programs ever, anything I do. And so I'm excited about my boot camps, like the ones we're doing with you. And I'm doing one after that with Michael Hill. We're doing one with Satch Oliver in, Rogers, Arkansas next year. I got one with Kimball Jones on insurance bad faith. John Romano on spine trials, Pat Salvi Jr. on medical malpractice, and a few more that I can't think of right now. But I'm pretty stoked about it because with TBIs and Sagisha Head in Miami. And it's because, like, when I get to work with people that are super, I think, at the top of their field, like, I learn so much, which is exciting for me, and every time I do these boot camps, I learn so much. I become a better presenter. And so I've been really working on those skills. And I'm going to continue to work on, refinement of my boot camps because I think they are transformational for the people that come to them. I mean, they just not just, I mean, if you become confident in public speaking in general, beyond the courtroom, it changes your life. When you walk into a party and you're like, I own this party. Everybody wants to meet me. And that's your mindset. And I'm going to make so many friends. It's so different than who are these people? I have nothing in common with them, and just finding those connections. And then, I just continue to, but I really want to work on trials. So I've gotten, seen some trials, and I've been, whenever my friends are in trial, popping in with them a bit and, going back into the war rooms, but also now that I don't have any big conference until June 2026, gives me a chance to get to trial. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Why did you decide to take a break from? Because I mean, historically, there were two main programs. There was the Vegas program, which was actually the bigger program, and then Pasea, which was sort of the spring program. But it seems like you obviously this year you focused on Pasea Beach program and these boot camps, and you're not doing a fall program this year, correct?
Correct. Correct. Because doing a Vegas program, or when I did it in New York on the off year, there's no breaks. It's like if I was doing that Vegas program, I'm 12 hours a day, every day, working on that between, that's a big program. It's a lot of responsibility financially. You sign contracts for, over $1 million. It forces you to really focus. And it's a fair amount of, not to be a sissy, but it's a fair amount of pressure. And it's like, I just didn't want to work 12 hours a day
Kind
for
of like preparing for trial.
it's like preparing for trial. It's really because there's so many moving parts. There's stuff you have control over, stuff you don't have control over. You have experiential knowledge. You have all these new things popping up like you've never seen before that you're like, with every new venue, new event, plus with all the, you know, people of Vegas, all the speakers, everything to organize. I was just like, I just didn't feel like it. You know what I mean? It's like I want to enjoy every moment. Like I love building, these programs. And I want to continue to love doing it. And it's a great joy, like to know that, when I'm at the Pasea, from the time I get there to the time I leave, like I have so much energy. I'm just like, I feel like I'm radiating. And people are like, think I'm on drugs. And they're like, what are you on? I'm like, look, the experience you're having right now? How good you feel about what you're learning, the people you're meeting? Like, yeah. I'm like, well, times that by 50 or maybe by 500. Because I know on day one, I know on the first day of the conference what everybody's going to experience over the next 4 days because I planned it all. I visualized it. And they don't know it yet because they're just experiencing it in the moment. But I've seen the future. And so I know how they're going to feel come Sunday. And so it gives me, great happiness to be able to be in a position to do that. But I wanted to keep the happiness, I don't want it to turn into something where it's like, this feels like work. I'm not like, excited about it every moment. And it's like, I want to be excited, right? Like you just like cases that you're not excited about, no matter what they're worth. If you're not excited about it, why do it?
And what it feels like to me is a lot of an effort. Like Pasea, the difference between the feeling of Huntington Beach and Vegas programs is like the difference between, a more intimate setting and a not more intimate setting, right? Like they're still big enough. Beach is still big enough. I mean, how many people were there? 800 or 900?
A little over 800.
Yeah. So it's still a big program when by comparison to what most people are used to, but it doesn't feel like it. Like you would go into, the rooms that you were in. The rooms were the right size. Like you weren't tucked way back in the back of some, big giant room somewhere just watching somebody drone on. I think that I don't know. It feels like what you're focusing on is a lot of connection too, like connection between speakers in the audience, connection between the audience, the attendees. It feels to me like a lot of effort because, like people like the parties, for instance, parties aren't for everybody, but connection seems like it is for everybody. And the parties were fun. They weren't your people standing around a typical lawyer party. And not that there's anything wrong with those parties either, but it feels like it's about connection. I mean, like even like these boot camps, to some degree, this is kind of going back to your roots. When before you were building big programs, you were building these smaller, whether it's called Trojan horse or whether it was called case analysis. It was about bringing a defined number of people together to have an experience. So it feels like you've evolved to a point where it's kind of coming back to the nest a little bit too. Do you know for sure? Are you going to do another? Is it going to be another Vegas program ever? Or could it be that it's Huntington Beach, this amazing program, and then it's a series of boot camps for people? I mean, could that be what it looks like, or are you just not sure yet?
I'm not sure. I've looked into doing Vegas at the Virgin Hotel because that's more my speed of hotel than like Caesars because it has 3 freestanding buildings.
Everybody knows you're a virgin. It's okay. Go on.
Thank you. Thank you. That's why it's my speed. And so I can buy out like a tower or 2 of the towers and do like a 1,000-person program, but it will feel different. It won't feel like Caesars because what makes the Pasea special, I think, is that everybody in that building, you know them in some way, shape, or form. You have a connection with them because we buy out the whole building, right, for the conference, and like for next year, when you talk about connections, I'm gonna be working so much harder on that because this year we did a few Zoom meetups like in the 2 months ahead of time. There'd be 20, 30 people. The last one had 100 people on it right before the conference. But I'm going to start doing these Zoom meetups once a month, right? Starting at the end of August for whoever's registered, to kind of give them. So whoever's registered, as people register, they'll get the notices for the future meetings. They could pop on, socialize a little bit, meet a little bit, and then get, and help kind of see the development of the program. But the whole idea is to get people comfortable, to get to know each other ahead of time.
The highlight of TLU for me was having the opportunity to network with attorneys from out of state.
TLU has been amazing. I'm so glad I came. It was one of the most inspiring events I've been to. Great networking, great food. It's been amazing. I can't wait for next year.
It'd be kind of cool, Dan. Have some of those people, because a lot of times when we had these in the past, a speaker might introduce themselves. Hey, I'm going to do such and such, which I think is important for people to know so that they can already start to make decisions because there's so much content. I know people can watch things if they go to one presentation, they can watch the other presentation, on Tribal Universities on demand, but you still have to make decisions. You can't be in every room, right? So knowing who the speakers are is important, but it'd be kind of fun. I mean, just speaking as one of the speakers, it'd be kind of fun to be introduced, just short letting a few people talk who are just attendees. Hey, I'm an attendee. I'm coming for this, da 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 da, on some of those Zoom calls. It'd be kind of fun to so that people know each other. Hey, I saw you. You were one of the people who spoke on the Zoom call. It'd be kind of fun to just pick on people. Like
Joe,
give.
you know me. That's what I do, buddy. I'm like, but what I do is I introduce the people that I know on the Zoom call, and then see if there's anything else they want to talk about themselves. Cause
It'd be cool. It'd be cool to even ask them, in when they're signing up for it. Hey, would you like to introduce yourself? Would you like to be one of the people who introduce yourself? So that they actually have something that they're prepped to say. I mean, some people like the advance notice. Anyway, it's far be it for me to say how you should run anything,
well,
but
I just no, yeah,
it'd be kind of fun.
look, Joe, there wouldn't be all this great food if it wasn't for Joe Freed. Because Joe Freed, after my first masterpiece of a conference in 2021, I was like, Joe, how was it? And he got this face like, can I be honest with you? I'm like, well, what can I say now? But because you were talking, but I'm even taking that whole food thing further, because in 2026, I'm going to have like the Lorraine's at the Pasea. I'm going to buy out that restaurant on the Tuesday beforehand and set up a dinner for everybody that's coming. That if they want to, join us for dinner the night before on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, I'm going to have the breakfast bought out so that everybody, because I whoever was there, I bought breakfast for on Wednesday, but a lot of people didn't know, so it's only like 30 people. Everybody's like, I didn't know there's breakfast, but that way I'm going to everybody that's there doing the workshops on Wednesday or for whatever reason can hang out, can come and get breakfast. And so,
I tell you, for people who don't know Huntington Beach, I mean, like when I first went out there the first time, I was like, eh, whatever. It's a cool freaking place. I mean, and you're just down the road from a couple of other, beach towns. If you go, consider like having an extra day or so out there. I mean, it's now become one of the places my wife looks forward to coming with me to the Pasea because we found some really good restaurants out there. She likes, going down to a couple of these other little beach towns. It's starting to be kind of almost like a destination CLE. Like you get there, you see some of the same people you saw last year, which is also fun, to see sort of the people who are coming back. I'm going to say this. You didn't ask me to say it, but I'm just going to say this to people who are also looking for opportunities to potentially speak. I've come to see how you do that, Dan, and you're not going to put somebody up to speak if you don't think that that's going to add to the success of the program, which has got to be good for the speaker and for the people who come. But if people are looking, they want to do that at some point, and they haven't had the ability to do it to this point. All the people who are out there in the program world, I pulled Dan Ambrose over and asked him about it. And here's the reason why. Unlike anybody else I know, he's going to shoot absolutely straight with you. He's going to tell you whether he thinks you're going to be successful at it or not and why. And some people misunderstand that, Dan. When you do it, they go, damn, man, Dan just cut my freaking legs out from under me. I mean, and they misappreciate that your intentions are to build an amazing program. And if they want to be a part of that amazing program, then they have to bring their best self to it. It's not a place for necessarily somebody who doesn't have a proven background in speaking, but I think that you create those opportunities for people too. I mean, like with the various things that get done during the year that aren't part of the big program. I'm talking over myself, and we didn't talk about me making this statement, but if I were interested in being a speaker and I felt like I had something that was unique to offer to the world of trial lawyers, I would talk to you about that and say, help me figure out a strategy so that maybe not next year, maybe it might take 2 or 3 years to work this up to the point where I'm getting on the stage at TLU, but I want to be on the path for that. So help me figure out how to do it. I'll talk to you about that. I think that you would shoot very straight with folks. And then if it became the right time, you would promote the crap out of their their program on those Zoom meetings and everything else so that their room would be full and people would know who the hell they were before they ever came to the program. Which, if you're speaking opposite somebody who's got a lot of name recognition, it probably doesn't feel good to be in a room and you got 4 people in your room. And it doesn't do you much good, and it doesn't do the program any good. So I'm talking all over myself again here, but I think it's important to, if you want to be, we're all in this for different reasons, right? I mean, we're all hopefully in this to be the best version of ourselves as a lawyer and a human being as possible. If you want a piece of that to be an educator in this space, Dan's a good person to talk to.
well, and I'm always, that's why I work on billions programs. I work on, this year was the most, so many people, this is the best program ever, most wide range, diverse speakers from all over the place, people they never heard of before, who they got so much from. And, which, it makes me very happy, right? Because I think that when people have something to share that they want to get out, it's like I'd like to give people that platform if they have something they want to teach and make the world a better place, a more enlightened place, obviously, is what we're trying to do here. Oh, one more thing on the connection thing, Joe, just make a note of this for next year. Sunday brunch on the last day of the program. So trying to get people to plan ahead, because they remember, that way we welcome nicely and then we say goodbye nicely. Because I visualize that restaurant with 250 people in it that are there on Sunday morning saying goodbye, taking care. We'll see you next year. What are we working on? Let's get to next year. Because that's very important. I think I feel like I'm missing the closure of the conference.
I like it. I'm also hearing something else in that, and that's if you don't plan that, and especially if you're an East Coast person, what's happened is that means you've made your reservation to leave on Saturday afternoon because
And people do that.
and you're missing. But this year, I mean, there was much less drop off at the end than I'd seen before. People were sticking out. But I agree with you. Look, I mean, me and my wife both stayed. We stayed over and left the next day. Left on Sunday.
It always boggles my mind that people leave early. I'm like, this is the best time. The last day, more people. You have more friends.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be in an environment where you got 20 friends around you, like friends?
Well, yeah. The problem is people have, for you, it's 100% your life, right? For a lot of these people, they got to get back because they got family obligations. They didn't bring their spouse. They got kids. They got to get back on Sunday, or they got to get back on Saturday. I mean, even some of the speakers had to leave after they were done on Saturday. I mean, you'd think that they would want to stay too. I think that's part of the issue is
planning. It's gonna be a planning issue, Joe. That's why I'm planning that breakfast ahead of time, doing all these things ahead of time, talking about them ahead of time.
I agree. Plan, but life's, I'm just saying, spouses sometimes take your plan and turn them on their
I
head.
know, but I always
You gotta
tell my
get home.
friends, I'm like, you need to oh, I got my wife and kids. I'm like, you need to be at this program for your wife and kids because they cost a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure you're the one feeding them. And so the more skills, the more friends that you have that can refer you case to collaborate, the more money you can make, the better you can do for your family. Because I know you bring your wife, but I always tell people, don't, because we're here to do business. My goal is for you to make more money. That's my goal at the end of the day. You make more money, you're going to be happier.
I'm not telling Terry you said I shouldn't bring her.
Don't tell that. Because then people come, I'm like, and they don't spend the time meeting people, connecting with people, and they're not getting the full value of it. And I want them to get the full value of it, because they get the full value of it. It's a value beyond compare. I want people, and my goal, we talk about speakers. My goal, and I'm going to tell people this next year, and I didn't mention it this year, but my goal is that those people that are in the audience, that they get on this stage, that they get verdicts, that we can do case analysis on it. So that way they can start developing the skills of teaching in a lower stress environment via Zoom and start building their little brand. Everybody wants a brand, right? If you're in this business, you gotta have a brand.
I'm a huge proponent of it. I've volunteered my time with several this last year to help other people talk about their cases, especially if they had a speed trial component of it. And I look forward to continuing to do that. So, and I think it's good for them. It's good for all of us because, learning in theory about theory is one thing, but learning from the real world is like nothing else. What I mean? So, I've appreciated our time together. I think we've covered all of our stuff. And, it was fun for me, Dan, to meet your sisters. That was fun. I asked for baby pictures so that I could use them in my presentation next year. So I'm hoping to get some embarrassing Dan pictures.
The one that everybody loves is my modeling pictures, my modeling portfolio card when I was 17 years old. I'm like,
you got the fake smile thing going on. They showing your teeth. Yeah.
Joke. All happy smiles.
All happy smiles.
Happy smiles.
That's where you learned how to smile from your eyes, right?
Smile from my eyes.
That's right. All right, my man. I appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you to Noel for finding my big picture of me that's above.
Yes, look at that.
Yeah, that's right. And thank you also to your team, your Law Pods team, who always do a good job, helping me beforehand, make sure that I got all my stuff worked out right.
Robert's the man. That's why I'm so grateful for. But I just look at this picture, remember, and I sent you the picture because Joe's picture was that same picture was on the elevator door, and Joe's
right.
and Joe was like, can I get a bigger picture? My wife wants to know if you have a bigger picture of myself. And then I'm like,
No.
won't you be surprised, Joe?
That's right. I was surprised. My wife said that we walk into the hotel and my picture's on the door. My wife looks at me and she says, "How adorable." I'm like, come on.
That's a
But I
dad joke.
mean, yeah,
That's a dad joke.
yeah.
All right,
that's right.
Joe.
All right.
Have a
Thanks a
great
lot,
one.
Dan. Appreciate it.
Your
Thanks.
friends.
Talk to
Take
you
care.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ready to train with the Titans and set records with your verdicts? Register for our live conferences and boot camps at triallawyersuniversity.com. Start getting your reps in before the big event by going to tluondemand.com to gain instant access to live lectures, case analysis, and skills training videos from the trial lawyer champions you love and respect, as well as pleadings, transcripts, PowerPoints, and notes for a roadmap to victory. Join the group that continues to get extraordinary results. Trial Lawyers University, produced and powered by LawPods.